No one sets out to get into debt. It's just one of those things that just happens without warning or that seems as though it's out of your control. However, it is possible to stay out of debt. Here are 10 strategies to follow to avoid falling into a debt abyss. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Become a subscriber by hitting the red button below, click the bell notification to be notified of future posting, and leave us a comment. We look forward to hearing from you. Now let's get to it. 10 strategies to avoid falling into a debt abyss. How to avoid debt. Number 1. Do not carry a credit card on your person. If it's out of sight, it is out of mind. Unless you have a hand-to-mouth existence where you barely have enough food or money to get by, you probably should refrain from carrying your credit cards in your purse or wallet. This way, you avoid the temptation of swiping your card for minor purchases. If you only use your cards for special purchases, like booking travel or major purchases, they will be just fine sitting in a drawer in your office or at your home. For those of you who have an obsession or are bad with cards, how about putting the cards in the freezer? That's right, place the cards in a container of water and stick it in your freezer. The time it will take to thaw before you can use it again will be enough to keep you from pulling it out to make another senseless purchase. Number 2, don't buy anything if you can't afford it without a credit card. Living under the delusion that you can purchase things you don't have enough money to afford is one of the most hazardous aspects of using a credit card. One excellent rule of thumb is that if you can't pay for the item with cash, you can't afford it with a credit card. The sad fact is that many people choose debt instead of going without. They will get into debt just to get the latest cell phone or other consumables. But at some point, you have to say enough is enough. If you don't have the cash to pay for it, you can't afford it with a credit card. Number 3, pay off credit card balance in full every month. If you must use a credit card, the best way to keep your spending under control and stay out of debt is to pay the balance as you use it. So if you use your credit card to collect points and earn rewards, make your payment the next day or by the end of the month before life gets in the way. Number 4, avoid spending triggers. It is critical to understand your spending triggers and to avoid circumstances that may drive you to use your credit card. Some of the most common spending triggers include stress, a bad day, boredom, social media pressures, credit cards, and stress. When you're tempted to spend, ask yourself if you truly need it or if you're just looking for a distraction from something else. Number 5, delete your credit card info from shopping sites. When your credit card information is already recorded, stored, and linked to your account, it is easy to make impulse purchases online. If you're guilty of blowing a lot of money on shopping sites like Amazon and others, a neat trick is to adjust your browser settings so that your login and payment information are not saved. The added inconvenience of signing in and looking for your credit card can be enough to dissuade you. Number 6, always use cash or debit card to pay. A surefire way to avoid going into debt is to simply stop using credit cards and rely instead on cash or debit when you shop. If the amount you can spend is limited by the balance in your account, it will be impossible to overspend. For big ticket items, create a budget and set money aside systematically and consistently to pay for them. This promotes sound financial habits and help instill a long-term strategic view of money. Number 7, have an emergency fund to fall back on. This is one we have frequently discussed on this channel. You need an emergency fund for those just-in-case situations that come along every once in a while. The best practice when you're considering your emergency fund is to have at least 6 months of your salary or monthly living expenses saved up. This will be enough to cover your expenses in the worst case scenario if you lose your job. It is there for life's unexpected but necessary costs and will prevent you from going into debt. Number 8, comparison shop before making major purchases. This is a no-brainer. It's common sense that researching and comparing prices can save you major money. You can wait for things to go on sale, or if you understand value, you can purchase a more desirable product for a similar price to the lower quality item. Those are just two of the multiple reasons why you should do your homework instead of buying on impulse. Number 9, think carefully about auto loans. Nothing causes a more debilitating debt than a car loan. Research by credit bureau Experian found that U.S. auto debt climbed to a record high despite the pandemic of $1.3 trillion in April of 2021. Why take on so much debt when you can make things simpler for yourself? When shopping for a new vehicle, keep the cost of insurance and maintenance in mind. Rather than committing to a monthly payment with interest, it may be in your best interest to seek an alternative. According to the Federal Trade Commission, the difference between new and used vehicles is a staggering $13,000. The payment amount and terms on a used vehicle loan are considerably easier to handle and may keep you from going into debt. Even better, think about paying cash for your next used vehicle. It may appear impossible to pay cash for a car, but it is possible with aggressive saving. This is one way to keep hefty monthly expenses from taking over your life. Number 10, if you must take out student loans, be sure to manage it properly. Do not fall into the trap of thinking that money from a student loan can be used for living expenses. While this is perfectly legal, it is a bad financial move. Never take more than is necessary to cover costs for education-related expenses like tuition and books. Don't do it. Another thing to think about is getting a job, even if it's just a part-time gig for 5 or 10 hours a week. The extra money will help you avoid getting into too much debt. There you have it, 10 strategies to avoid falling into a debt abyss. Thanks for watching, everyone. And as always, until next time.